Good morning. It is Monday, the Monday before Christmas, December 23rd, and I did a thing. She's not getting decorated because this is like the first closest I've gotten to Christmas spirit in several years. So we're doing baby steps right now. But it is Capricorn season as of this past Saturday. The sun in Capricorn is now in alignment with Saturn in Pisces. This could be challenging. This is our second year of this. This is like it's leading us through our intuition. There's a lot of karmic lessons involved. There's a lot of making sure that you're trusting your boundaries, you're trusting your intuition. I know as a Capricorn rising, the Saturn and Pisces during Capricorn season is kind of difficult for me because I'm feeling it, like literally in my physical body. I can feel my intuition screaming at me that something isn't right. It was the same last year, and lo and behold, Christmas Eve, everything went really, really bad. And we ended up not even having Christmas at all. So it really make sure that you're listening to your intuition. Make sure that you've got those good emotional boundaries, spiritual boundaries, and you're letting that intuition guide you as you move forward during Capricorn season, as you're building those boundaries and you're building your foundations to move forward on. The sun is in a square with the lunar nodes, so this is adding even more karmic energy to the day. It's kind of a crossroads type of moment where we need to make sure that we are, moving forward for ourselves or being true to our authentic selves as opposed to moving backwards and finding that space of just what we know type of energy. There could very well be this temptation to go back to like a devil type of situation just because things feel so off right now. We do have the moon in Libra, which is putting our subconscious and emotional self in alignment with Venus, which is in Aquarius, and that mutual reception with Uranus. So we're already feeling a little off, and like things just don't feel right and everything is uncomfortable, and we're just like looking for this space where things feel safe. But ask yourself, is that past place that you know actually safe, or is it just comfortable because you know it, right? Make sure that you're really moving forward for yourself. Now, the moon is going to make a sextile to Mercury in Sagittarius. It's going to make a trine to Jupiter in Gemini, Jupiter retrograde, and an inconjunct to Saturn in Pisces. So there is this opportunity for like an old conversation to come back up, particularly if somebody was like rethinking things during that Mercury retrograde and now they're like, okay, I need to talk about it. There's this opportunity for that. Keep in mind though that Jupiter in Gemini is going to try to keep things like surface level, a little confusing, a little contradictory. So the conversation might not be productive at all. And you've got to make sure that you're leaning on that intuition and that Saturn and Pisces, and you've got those boundaries set so that you can make a decision. When we have that inconjunct from the moon to Saturn, that is you're going to leave one thing behind to go the other direction type of energy. So make sure you're listening to that intuition when it comes to that. Other than that, today, it's a day. This whole week, quite honestly, is a little wonky. Just keep in mind that you have to be uncomfortable to move forward. Like you don't make changes when you're comfortable. If everything is good and peachy and wonderful, everything's going to stay the same. But if you're wanting to make growth, it's going to be uncomfortable. Okay, just keep that in mind. The energy of the day is the Three of Wands. So like the things that you've been manifesting, like we really want to move forward. We want to let our ships come in. We really have that energy of I want to make things happen. I want to do things and move forward, right? But we're in kind of a state of confusion right now where we don't really know which way to go with that, right? We need to make sure that we are standing our ground on the things that light us up, on the things that keep us passionate, on the things that really make us want to just take off and do something great, right? Like he's a king, so he's very stable, right? But it's the King of Wands, so he's passionate and he's wanting to do the fun stuff. He's wanting to chase his dreams, okay? But what we're avoiding is the Seven of Cups. So we want to make sure that we're not in a space where we want to like stick our head back in the sand. We don't want to like put the rose-colored glasses back on just for the sake of comfort, Okay, so we've got to make sure that we're really paying attention to those boundaries and we're letting go of the things we need to let go of in order to move forward, instead of being just, going back in that fog and saying, you know what, I just want to be comfortable, okay? Bottom of the deck is Six of Swords. So there is this moving on. There is a letting go. There is a desire to push forward underneath. So there's really a very tempting type of day, okay? So let's pull clarifiers for our Three of Wands here. Oops. We've got a Wheel of Fortune. Oh. Not only did I do something, there we go. Queen of Wands and the High Priest. So Three of Wands is all about letting that ship come in, letting things flow to you, those manifestations that you've been working on, right? And we've got the Wheel of Fortune. That is that moving forward. This is that moving into the new season of life, right? And we've got a Queen of Pentacles with our High Priestess. So Queen of Pentacles is all about stability, right? And the High Priest here, this is the Hierophant in the traditional deck. It's kind of like doing things the traditional way, but at the same time, it's also your religious leader, or like your preacher man or whatever, right? But we need to make sure that we are listening to Saturn. I mean, this is a very, I know technically it's the Taurus card, but it's kind of Saturnian into Saturn in Pisces, in that like spiritual leader, in that Saturnian manner of making sure that you're standing your ground on your spiritual path, right? And your intuition, and you're allowing God to guide you type of energy here, instead of like just trying to find the place that fits comfortably for you, okay? So we really need to make sure that we are allowing that wheel to move forward, instead of, and we're looking for a comfort, but a comfort in a space that is right for us, that is being divinely guided for us, rather than the space that's just the devil type of energy, okay? So clarifiers on the King of Wands. Where are we focusing on our King of Wands here? We have got a King of Cups. There's again this emotional stability of that Saturn in Pisces. And the Ace of Wands. So yeah, making sure that you've got, you're standing your ground, you've got those boundaries, you are solid in what it is that you're wanting and what it is that lights you up and gives you passion, right? But we can do it without being a jerk. King of Wands can be kind of a jerk sometimes. It can be very playboy energy. But when we've got this King of Cups here on the bottom, there's this emotional maturity as well. And that is very Saturn in Pisces as well, with the Ace of Wands. So you can chase your dreams while not being a dick, right? You can still have that emotional maturity to have a grown-up adult conversation with somebody about what it is that you're wanting. And you can chase your dreams in that way. Don't allow that Jupiter in Gemini to keep you surface level. Like, if you need to have the conversation, but have the grown-up conversation, not that like childish, wishy-washy Gemini conversation, not that contradictory. Make sure that you're really standing your ground and your boundaries, and you're going after what it is that you need in your life, okay? And if the other person on the other end of the conversation is trying to keep things in that Gemini type of energy, cut it off if you got to cut it off, okay? Saturn making a square to something very much like ends things very permanently, okay? Clarifiers on our Seven of Cups here. Maybe. Where are we avoiding the Seven of Cups? We've got a Ten of Swords. Yeah, don't allow yourself to fall into a delusion, right? Like, something needs to end. You've got to end it, even when it's uncomfortable to do so. And Five of Cups, yeah. That we need to make sure that we are not putting the rose-colored glasses back on. We are not deluding ourselves, right? If it needs to end, it needs to end. Something about this past is painful. There's a Nine of Swords on the bottom here. There is something very painful about this past situation, and you might have a little regret about it, but just because there's a little bit of regret about it doesn't mean that you can't end it. You can have the conversation, but again, if there's still like this like manipulation going on or trying to avoid the real problem, it's time to end it, right? Even if you do have that regret, you don't have to fix everything. I know I am the absolute worst about I have to have the conversation. I need the closure. You're not going to get it, especially with that Jupiter and Gemini. You're not going to get it. The other person is likely to just keep everything as playful as possible and accuse you of being too serious or whatever, right? If that's the case, just got to end it. You got to let it go, okay? It is time to move forward for yourself.